Hello, hello. We are back again for round two. Can everyone hear me okay? I have something in my throat today, so I might sound a little bit more raspy than usual. So, normally I do a edited video around this time, like Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. And today this week, because of Christmas and everything, I didn't really have the time, so I thought I'd come back on and do another live. And if people cannot come, that's okay, because you can watch this back when you have the time. It's Christmas. Christmas time, or holiday time, if that offends you. Because I celebrate Christmas. I like Christmas. How is everybody doing? So, because there's not a lot of people here yet, I thought that maybe I just get right into what I wanted to talk about. So, one thing that I do when I have free time is just look at videos of different YouTubers that I appreciate what they say, even if I don't agree with everything that they say. And there was this drama. Well, there's a few people involved. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out how to turn the setting down on the screen, because I think it's too bright. I don't think it's one of those screens. I'm used to Mac, and this is a Windows, so I'm not sure. Alright, well, that's okay. So, there's this guy that I don't follow. I don't usually watch his stuff, but a middle-aged gentleman who is a pastor, I guess, or he was a pastor, but now he just does. He has like a radio channel. Let me see if I can. Let me pull up his Wikipedia page. Oh, that's really, really bright. Well, that's okay. Let me scroll down a little bit. You can't even see. Wait a second. Alright. This guy. His name is Jesse Lee Peterson. And, an American radio host, pastor, and broadcaster. He has some YouTube channels that he has over 300,000 subscribers in all of his channels. But anyway, there's this girl that I follow. Again, I don't agree with everything that she says. This girl, she is Jaclyn Glenn. She's a lady. She used to be Catholic, and then now she's an atheist. So, um, so yeah, so I don't really agree with all of her characterizations of religion or anything, but as you can see from here, there was a conversation that Jesse Lee Peterson had with a Christian couple, Paul and Morgan. So we have three groups of people involved here. Jaclyn, this lady, Jesse Lee Peterson, and then a couple, Paul and Morgan. And so normally Jaclyn Glenn, she doesn't agree a lot with what any of the other people say because they're religious, but she actually sided with Paul and Morgan because of the things that Jesse Lee Peterson were saying, what he was saying, specifically about women and education. So, you know, normally I'm able to, you know, make a line of thoughts and plan all of these videos out. And today I did kind of plan a little bit, but we're just going to have to wing it and see what happens. So, we're going to start with, let's see. Well, let's start with this video a little bit, and then we'll see what happens. So let me turn off my music. So I also made timestamps to follow. So Jesse Lee Peterson, he has people on his channel, and he debates with them, and you'll see right away the way that he interviews. It's very annoying at times, and one of the things, that's the reason why I put it in the title, he refers to men, specifically in this conversation, men who treat their woman, their partner, the female counterpart, as an equal and is not the head of the family. He calls them beta males, and Jesse Lee Peterson is a alpha male, I guess. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So let's see. Hi, Francis. Have you been following the topic of old school feminists who feel threatened by transgenderism? Do you have a stance on that topic? Yeah, I do. I mean, I guess we have time. I can talk a little bit about it now. Hello, I saw you just hit 800 subscribers. I know, 800 subscribers, which is a big feat for me, because like I said before, I'm not putting any money into promotion or anything, or buying subscribers or anything. Everything's natural and topical. What I put out are things that I think would interest people, and I guess that is the case. Or people are just trolling and they follow me just to have an excuse for, I don't know, ripping on me. So so the whole turf thing, it's an interesting topic because a lot of people, they talk, they don't really have conversations, like people on both sides of the spectrum. They don't talk with other people. They don't explain with other people. It's mostly just people yelling back and forth, calling people names, and turf isn't a name that those people subscribe to. I mean, they might take it as some sort of, sarcastic or, just take it on like, yeah, of course I'm a TERF, but it's from the other side that's calling them that to kind of give them a name and, talk down. And let me. So, excuse me. Let me put the music back on so it's not so boring. Yeah, so I think that there's a push to change a lot of things, a lot of language, a lot of cultural norms, and there's people who, on the other side, they either don't understand and they're just afraid of change in general, or they don't think that change is beneficial or reasonable. And so when you have somebody who, so you have a woman who says, I don't think that transgender women are the same as me. And then you have people on the other side who call that woman a TERF, so somebody who doesn't want to accept the fact that in their mind, transgender women are the same as women. I was actually just watching a video on this because J.K. Rowling, who's of course being attacked. I think Blair White, another YouTuber that I watch a lot, she's actually a transgender woman. She made a video on the fact that J.K. Rowling said something like, actually, let's bring up what. Let's see. All right, sorry. Alright, J.K. Rowling faces backlash. Okay, J.K. Rowling angers fans with another anti-trans tweet. Okay. So let's see. Let's see. Do they have the tweets? Do they even share the tweets? Okay, so basically what she was saying was that transgender women being sent to a woman's prison doesn't make sense. And if you look at, this is a huge can of worms to talk about, but if you have to see things, like, I'm not a woman, so I'm not speaking on the behalf of women, of course not, but just looking at it as a third party, there is a difference, like just in a compositionally just naturally, just physically, there's, like, we have to see that there's a biological difference. That's one thing that I'm not a big fan of with a lot of this progressive type of lingo. That, if you want to change something, try to use arguments, try to use ways that make sense to everyone involved. Because if you're a progressive and you say trans women are women, that's what we think, and all of them are like, okay, so in practice they've just changed the definition of woman in practice. they've changed it from what it was before, or they've expanded it to cover things that it didn't cover before. There was some sort of change in the language. So when someone who's not a progressive, or who's not pushing that stance, when they say woman and when the progressive says woman, they're not talking about the same thing. So in order to connect the people and have them talk, you have to use language that makes sense to everyone. You can't just expect everyone to know what you're talking about, to accept what you're talking about. And I don't have the stance that every change is a progression towards the future or towards a better state. I don't think that. Like always pushing the envelope. Sometimes it has beneficial consequences, like as we're going to be seeing with Peterson, like with women being able to vote. He says that women shouldn't vote. He actually says that he says that women shouldn't be educated, which is mind-blowing. So if I was to have a conversation with someone promoting that stance with transgender people, it would be difficult for us to have even a foundation to have a conversation. Because even if I say a transgender woman isn't a woman, just in that, I'm not saying that's my stance or not, just stating a fact. Just saying that, we have two different ideas. We have two different ideas of the words involved in the sentence. And that's a mind game. That's like 1984. You know, you change a word to fit a narrative that you want, and then you look at people who follow the old way of thinking as crazy, like they're not with it. That doesn't make sense. That's gaslighting, in my opinion. So before even having the conversation about is it good or bad, is whatever the topic is involved, you have to have the same tools. You have to use the same tools, the same language. Like, think of, okay, so I'm living in Mexico. When I first came here, I didn't know Spanish. So when I was trying to communicate with someone, it was so difficult for me to express even the most basic idea. Why? Not because I'm stupid, not because my ideas are stupid, not because the other person's stupid, or their ideas are stupid, or, not because we're not educated, not any of that. Why? Language. The language was different. So it's impossible to use different tools, different languages to communicate. And although that all of this topic is in English, it's not. It's not all in English. And I know the words change and all of that, and, okay. But in my head, and what I learned about logic from philosophy is that a word is an expression of an idea, and that idea is taken from reality, is taken from our senses, what we sense in the world, what we experience. Okay, this girl is annoying me. This girl in the corner, sorry. I just realized. Let me get off that screen. Oh, that's better. It's not so white anymore. Um, and when you talk about feminism in general, it's that there's so many types of feminism. So, if you ask a woman, "Are you a feminist?" and they say yes, most of the time they'll say, or if you ask them why, they'll say, "Well, I think that men and women are equal and they should receive the same benefits in society. They should have the same opportunities." But that's the level that most women are at. But then you have the feminism that's pushing the envelope. And that's the type of feminism that a lot of women have unsubscribed to, or when they realize that them labeling themselves as a feminist, it included those extreme and progressive stances that they didn't agree with. They've unsubscribed from the label of feminist altogether. So that's happened. I don't know if that answered your question. I can see that you may have lost the faith, but you haven't lost your brain. Well, I love that phrase. Lose the faith, like lose your keys. I lost my keys. I lost my faith somewhere, and I can't find it. I don't know where it went. I don't. One thing that's missing from the internet in general is an understanding. Sometimes you can't logically understand someone else's position. That's not what I mean. But when you come face to face with an idea that you find wrong, or that, well, I'll talk about myself, not you, because I'm not telling you how to think. When I see something and I think this does not make any sense. This is absolutely ridiculous, and actually some things are dangerous. Like you see, the beginning, the little snowball that builds up momentum, and then you look down the road, you think, okay, if this is mainstream, then I can only imagine where this is leading towards. So you come across some ideas like that, and it's okay. And for me, when I see those ideas, I don't even look at the person who says it. I don't even think about them. I just see what they say and see their ideas. But the person who's saying all of these things that I don't agree with, I have to put myself in their shoes and think, what type of education did they receive? Where did they grow up? What type of experiences have they had? What pressures do they have in their life to make them say all of these different types of things? What's the expectation of them being in this position to say this narrative? And when you see someone in all those circumstantial, in their sphere of influence, then it's easier to not, want to punch them in the face. I don't think that that's a good reaction, especially when we're talking about ideas. Not unless they say that they don't believe in truth and reality. Then maybe something drastic like that would wake them up, and they'd realize that yes, there are consequences to reality. I'm joking. Kind of. But yeah, I see all of these people, and I really feel sorry for them, because it seems like a lot of people are swept up into movements because they just want to belong to something. They want to feel cutting edge, and I think there's something in us that brings us to that, those polarizing ideas. And then you have the internet, which promotes those polarizing ideas and forces you to pick one side or the other. I mean, how many people here, I mean, and if you're watching this afterwards, how many people have felt pressured to state an opinion that maybe they didn't want to express at the time, or was something that they didn't agree with? Yeah, so that's a good that's a principle of logic, that people receive things, um, everyone receives things in their uh, in the way that I don't know how to describe it really in English, but uh, the way that we're formed, the way that we're taught to think and perceive the world, that's the way that we receive things. Yeah, that's so true. In a group, it's always like that in a group. I think on my channel, I've never said things that I didn't want to say. Maybe there were times where I felt pressured to say, well, if I say this thing, then it might turn away people. Or if I share this side of myself and this perspective that I have, maybe that will attract a certain type of person, or push away a certain person, and I don't want to be that type of channel. And I think more and more as I've been making videos and interacting with people, I realized that it's not that I was being fake, but I know that I was avoiding topics that maybe would have had that polarizing effect, even though like everything that I do in some people's eyes is polarizing just for who I am. Just like what you said with, you may have lost the faith, but you haven't lost your brain. It's like that, like, whoa, I can't believe that this guy, this ex-priest who's going to hell, is saying what I think, or believes what I believe, and all this stuff. But I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah. So anyway, I become more and more comfortable and more understanding of the fact that, obviously it's like when you're in a group, it's like better not to talk about politics. Just to not, like when you go Thanksgiving holidays, like what we're about to do this weekend, it's like it's better not to just get in on that bandwagon. Not unless that's your gig and that's your thing and that's your channel. You talk about politics, you do this, and everybody has a bias. Everybody's coming from a certain perspective, and they interpret things the way that they are, just like that that principle. So not unless that's your thing, go for it, but otherwise, at least for me, it just hasn't come up. Like talking about the turf thing, do I have my own opinions? Yeah, sure. I've watched a lot of videos from both sides. I've watched debates. Well, they usually end up being yelling matches. I've talked to trans people, actually. Well, at least a few. And it's, you really do gain a perspective, but on my channel, it's like, well, I'm not going to talk about that until it comes up, which it did today. So, before we begin, I'm going to use the restroom. So, let's chill out with our lo-fi beats. I'll be right back. What do we have here? Transgenderism, at least some of its disciples, tends to pretend that a gay man is a woman who does not assume her identity. Your thoughts about that? Listen, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so I know that there's diagnosable qualities to a transgender person. I mean, before we even label them transgender, it's there's something that is diagnosable. And I think that just from what I've seen and just from a lot of the different experiences that I've seen, even with people who detransition afterwards, a lot of them say that they were pushed to transition because they didn't feel comfortable. And I mean, I can talk about, I didn't. I mean, who feels comfortable, especially around puberty, with their bodies? I know that there's varying degrees, but I think that that's a common experience. And when you have this whole movement happening, and when you're in a situation where maybe you're not actually transgender, but you're experiencing similar symptoms. I don't want to use symptoms, but we'll just say that for now. As you have seen that transgender people have, and you think maybe that's my way out. Unfortunately, that whole process, once you go down that road, is damaging and may make the situation worse. But it seems like there's so much pressure in today's culture to not even give people the space to breathe and understand what's happening to them. I felt that way being in the church, where I couldn't even come face to face with being gay, being attracted to men, because it just didn't fit in the structure. Things were very cut off and very very clear cut. And even though I didn't fit into that box, I wasn't really permitted, or I didn't permit myself in that environment because I wasn't given the tools to do so, to explore or at least accept or see that part of myself. So yeah, I kind of understand where people are coming from. But the whole gay man is a woman thing, I don't like to say all transgender people are, transgender women are just gay men. Like, I wouldn't go that far. But maybe some of them are. If anybody wants to hear a very rational approach to the whole transgender concept, there's a YouTuber. Let me pull up. Okay. I'm just going to show her channel. And then so this is Blair White, and she's a transgender woman, and she makes a lot of, I mean, some of the things, like, I don't know, it's nice when you watch something, maybe that thing doesn't convince you one way or the other. So, like, why force yourself to say, I 100% agree with this or I 100% disagree with this? Some of the things she says, I just don't know. I haven't investigated it. But a lot of the things she says about her own experiences or that whole push, that whole movement, the transgender movement, the progressive transgender movement, I guess, is very enlightening and very rational. So if anybody wants to hear about that, go see her channel. All right. Let's see. Sorry, just give me a second. You know, another thing that I've realized is that life can be a lot more complicated. Like we can talk about the abstract and the ideas and this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is, I mean, some of the things, even if you bring them to a particular situation, it can be pretty clear cut, but everybody is coming from a different place and has behind all of their actions and their ideas, there's a whole mountain of their past. And so it's hard to separate that sometimes when we talk about an abstract idea, because then when we go to a particular situation, a particular transgender person, for example, things become a lot more complicated. And even if you might not agree, maybe you think that transgender people don't exist, and then you come face to face with one and they tell you about their experience and their going to a psychologist for X many years. You just see their whole process and you think, well, okay, maybe this particular circumstance will help not redefine but recalibrate that general idea. And then you see a lot of experiences and then you're able more easily to draw a general idea out of it. But we're not allowed to even debate about it. You have to, without thinking, without investigating, without understanding, you have to say yes or no. You have to say 100% this, 100% that, or they'll just throw you there. The other side will just throw you in that group anyway. And that's something I don't appreciate with anyone. So I'm just gonna start with this I'm gonna start with this video. Let me see exactly. Alright. Just to get a taste of Jesse Lee Peterson, we're going to... I'm just going to put this down low so there's still something there. Alright, so let's watch proof that you should never marry an educated woman. There's proof.
What the? So I've said to men, never, never, ever, 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 but never, 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 ever, never, 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 ever, but never, ever, ever, ever marry an educated woman. She will not.
Did you get that? Never, ever, 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 ever marry an educated woman. So just as context, he's not married, so I guess he hasn't come across an uneducated woman. I think it's very rare now to find that. Maybe he'll just be without a woman. He does have a child, though, I think. I really wish I could turn the volume down. Or turn the... I'm gonna... what's it called? I'm trying to see if I can get the screen brightness down. I don't know if I can do it. Why can't this be easy? Why does this have to be difficult? Alright, well, alright, let's keep watching. Can everyone hear okay?
I don't care what color, how much money she have, don't have, she has or don't have, where she live. Never, 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 never.
So on this episode, there was an example of these women on Fox, and it was during the pandemic, and they were out of work. They're working women, and they have children at home. They're finding it harder and harder to go back to work. They want to go back to work. All of the complications.
Nurse, doctor, surgeon, y'all are heroes, and your families are heroes, your husbands as well. Thank y'all so much for being on with us. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ainsley.
You're welcome.
State troopers, nurse, blah, 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 right? Those are not heroes. They are zeros.
You know, I was brought up to respect women. I know that I'm a gay man, but you know, I was taught to respect women, and this guy, I don't respect him because he doesn't respect women.
And their husbands are zeros for allowing them to work. I would never recommend a man marry a woman who's educated. This is what you got to get. They put their egos before their husbands and their children. They don't.
All right, I just kind of wanted to, you know, share a little bit about how he talks. And as I said before, he does this thing where he calls men who give in to women too much, in the sense of, you know, being their partner, holding them up, not being the head, or even men who don't take on ultra masculine qualities, that they're betas, and he goes, beta. When someone's talking, he'll just yell out, beta. I think we'll hear it a few times. So as I was saying before, we have on the right, Paul and Morgan, well, Morgan and Paul. They're husband and wife. They've been married for a few years, and they're Christians. They're not Catholics. Nobody here's Catholic. except the atheist who used to be Catholic. And then Jesse Lee Peterson, who is supposedly a Christian pastor or whatever. So, what's with all these like Russian? Don't ever follow the links from Russian accounts. Hey Neo. So let's just begin this video. So Jaclyn's the redhead. This is her channel, and she's making a commentary video. We'll just watch a little bit and see what happens.
Come with that.
All women hate all,
wait.
and women don't love their fathers.
Yes, they do.
They
That's
yearn for their father, but they don't love their father.
That is an absurd saying. That
No,
where do
that's the
you
truth.
come with that?
All women hate all men.
You're getting in.
Just like we were saying before with the transgender, the progressive stance on a lot of things and changing the meanings of words. Words do have meaning, and they hold a weight. All women hate men.
Your inflammatory
That's so
statements
crazy.
again.
No, it's true.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a new video on.
So that's Jaclyn. Let me see if. So there's on Jesse Lee Peterson's channel, he has a panel of. Let me go back to. He has a panel of experts. So these 3 other men who work for him, and it's funny because they all seem very timid men. Like they're all kind of like following along with Jesse Lee Peterson, who is the alpha. He's like the leader of the wolf pack, and the other ones are like, we're alphas too, but not really. And they try to come across like they're alphas because they have to like kind of equal the level of Jesse Lee Peterson. You know, you listen to someone, you hear what they say, and yes, we can try to understand where they come from, their background, why they're saying these things. Okay, but you understand somebody by how they speak. You can look into their eyes, hear their words, and you have to assume that what they're saying is true and they're not just making it up. So I hear these people talking, and I don't have respect for them. I don't have respect for what they're saying. And I know, believe me, if Jesse Lee Peterson or any of these guys, because I know that they go around looking at different channels who make comments about their videos, they go around because they want to cause drama, because maybe they'll invite me to go talk to him. And but anyway, he's going to look at me and he's going to say, first of all, he's going to see Judas in my name, and he's just going to stop on that. It's going to be like, whoa. And he's going to totally miss the irony in that name. But that's okay. Then he's going to look at me and he's going to say, tattoos, long hair, ex-priest, not religious anymore. He's going to see all those things and then just be stuck on that and not listen to what I'm saying. That's okay. He doesn't have to listen to what I'm saying. But all of those things, and he's going to say, you're a beta. You love your mom. Jesse Lee Peterson believes if a man maintains frame, things will be okay. The system is fundamentally against men. What do you mean maintains frame? And believe me, for people to have a following, they have to say something that's true. I'm not saying that what he's doing is a cult, but there are cults that they get people. They convince people that they have the truth. How do they do that? They connect with people on real facts, real experiences, and people say, oh my gosh, I feel like that, or I've experienced that. It's like maybe this person, this organization has the truth because they're speaking to me. So everything that has longevity, any sort of organization, person, whatever, they have to say things that are true. So there's things that he says that are true that I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that. But then he just twists it and says something completely off base, and then guests will say, why do you think that? And then he'll either derail the conversation, he'll go to another topic, or he'll just blast them with the information like, this is obvious, without giving any explanation. Like, this is just how it is. I've been around people like that. I've been around men especially like that, and you don't want to talk to them. You don't even if they're saying the truth. The way that they talk to people, like, you're an idiot. It you just want to walk away because it's not worth it. It's like talking to a wall. A man can keep a woman in check enough to where she won't pull the trigger and cash out. Keep a woman in check. Who wants to be with a partner that they have to keep in check? Like, what type of social structure is a family for him? He says that they're not partners because he says it's the gay narrative to call them partners. Okay. But anyway, let's keep going.
Let's go.
A couple weeks
Let's go.
ago, my experts and I had
a
discussion about women who vote.
Yeah, it was a massive mistake to educate women.
I noticed
So the question was asked. Sorry, I was reading the comment. I mentioned this the other day. Not all men want families. Jesse Lee Peterson thinks all men do. If they don't, he thinks something is wrong with them, i.e. a beta. A lot of these people, and especially religious people, and I can concretely say that I've had a good religious education. I went deep in religion, not just in the doctrine and the theology, but in the spirituality as well, which wasn't just like, feeling. No, it was based on the theology and the doctrine. And in that, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Not all men want families. I totally forgot what I was going to say. I just wanted to brag and say that I had a really good religious education. That was the purpose of that comment. Oh, what was I going to say? It was a good point. Oh well. Anyway, so let's keep listening.
was that everything the women get involved with, it turned to hell.
Oh yes, my favorite, the experts.
And
So he said in that panel, everything that women touch turns to hell. I mean, it's interesting. Oh, I remembered. I had a good education, but I would never look someone face to face, straight in the eye, and say, I know more than you. I would never have that position. And it's because in Catholicism, especially, if you are actually practicing, and it's, sometimes I wonder with some of the comments from supposed Catholics, the basis of spirituality is humility. It's knowing who you are, what you're made out of, your limits. And in that, you're never in a position. I mean, one of my seminary professors who has 30, 40 years of experience can say he knows more than me with the doctrine, with the theology, with the studies. I mean, that's a fact. That's part of humility, to accept that. But to take a position where you treat the other person like they're ignorant and stupid. And I see people like Jesse Lee Peterson, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, this guy has a lot of pride. This guy is very arrogant. And arrogance is like vinegar. Like not unless it's in coleslaw, vinegar is not tasty. So yeah, I like, even if what they're saying is true, it's like, come on.
Said that one of the worst mistakes that America made is to allow women to vote. I mean, to be educated, and that an educated woman would never make for a good wife or mother.
So those are the major statements that obviously Paul and Morgan were looking to debate him on, because...
Yeah, so let's go to this video. Let's see. So
okay, my experts are here. Do you guys have questions for my...
No, let's not go to that. Let's go to this one. I did write down the...
Morgan, in your response, you said that in talking about the discussion that my experts and I had, you said that...
Experts? What? Does he do that ironically? Like, I mean, did they look like experts? I shouldn't judge on appearance, but you hear the way they talk, and I mean, let me see.
On whether or not women should be educated. I mean, of course there are.
So I was thinking about, and I'm pretty sure all you guys know my opinion about it, but since you're...
Everybody knows your opinion about it, especially those guys who have to listen to it day in and day out.
Experts.
I saw this and I just had to make a video. I was looking for something ridiculous and funny to be like a lighthearted follow-up to my...
Okay.
Well, I guess not sad and depressing. So I was like, I need something lighthearted and funny and just stupid.
I want to know.
Little pets, how cute. Women, everybody should get one. Anyway, this is what this panel of experts had to say.
I want to know, was it a big mistake to educate women?
Those are the reactions. Like, when you're talking about a topic that, I mean, this is a huge topic. It affects a lot of people. And it's serious. And they're smirking. Like, is that... like, I watching this, I think, these people aren't serious. They can't be serious. Are they serious?
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I actually have the full... no, that's not it. Let me see if I can. 27, 27:15.
And you're not always agreeing with me. I want to know, was it a bit calm?
Oh.
And one of my experts?
No, let's not introduce the experts. Sorry.
Calm.
Thank you for your
And one of my
patience.
experts?
Ah,
Nick.
come on. This is the part that I would edit out if this was a real video.
And you're not always agreeing with me. I want to know, was it a big mistake to educate women?
Okay, so we're gonna watch the continuing part of this.
Hey.
Yeah.
And you said yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you saying it so weakly?
It's not weekly.
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's like, by his behavior, he's training them how to respond the way that he wants them to. Why'd you say that weakly? Why'd you say that like a beta?
Didn't say,
So wimpy.
Yeah. I said yeah.
So why was it
yeah.
a big mistake to educate
I said yeah. I said yeah. I said yeah. Maybe it is a cult. Oh, let's not do that.
women?
Because look at them. They're already like conceited and think that they know better without that stuff.
Okay, my mom and my father, but especially my mother, taught me to speak, to hold my shoulders back, to have my head up, to look someone in the eye, and to talk with confidence. My mother, who was educated and a good woman. And this guy can't even lift his eyes up when he's talking about something so serious and saying things like, women are conceited. They're already conceited. I would love for this guy to look me in the eye and say this. I mean, they're talking about a man, being an alpha. How about being confident with what you're saying? I'm sorry. These are the types of things I watch, and then I just go.
And then when they get the education, and by the way, education is like geared towards girls now.
Yeah.
I promised myself that I would not make fun of them for how they're looking, how they speak. But if you want to, that's fine.
It's like,
I
I don't know if it's meant to be like that.
It's a girl education,
Mm-hmm.
and it's weak.
And so they're accusing boys of having ADHD and stuff like that.
All right, so I think there was another part that I wanted to share with that. Let me see. Well, anyway, I think we'll come back to that. So let's go back to, where is it? No, sorry. Where is it?
There are parts you agree with, and there are parts that you just...
Okay, so with the experts, Paul and Morgan, especially Morgan, the wife, she disagrees, and they actually made a video about it.
disagree with. And you said that as Christians, is us, you call us, or at least me, misogynist.
You called me a misogynist for saying that women shouldn't be educated. Go figure. Go figure. There's consequences to words. There's consequences to ideas.
What did I say
Awkward.
that is misogynist?
3 guesses.
I didn't necessarily call you that. I just said that those labels, those titles were coming to my mind as I was watching you.
Right.
Because Paul and I have also been called those things on our
Okay.
YouTube channel. And I just think it's so interesting because I listen to what you guys are saying and I'm thinking, wow, like when I listen to your all's video as a woman who walks with the Lord, who wants to submit to her husband, I heard 4 men who it sounded like you guys literally hate women. Like that's what it was. And I was trying, I really, really am trying to hear what you guys are saying. And like I said in the video, I hear parts of what you guys are saying and I agree. Like
And so it's easier for men to overcome the female God than it is.
All right. So he goes into like some weird doctrinal stuff. Just really weird. And then, let's see. We'll go back to closer to the beginning.
I don't know that.
You do.
Give me an example of an inflammatory or extremist.
We can.
So they said, you say things that are extreme. And he's like, what? Tell me, give me an example.
Do it.
something like that you said?
Yes, yes.
Everything a woman touches turns to hell.
Right.
And I quote.
Can you give me and I'm sticking to that because it's so true. If you notice, when men are not there to guide women in how to raise their children, the children end up becoming drug addicts and angry.
What do you guys think? Do you think that there's an issue with fathers? Because I think, I mean, I'm trying to imagine where he's coming from because, you know, he had a child outside of marriage. And, you know, you try to see, okay, if he's saying that women are the problem, men giving into women, but women are the problem. And this is the same narrative that we hear, that I've heard, you know, even talking, I mean, there's another video that they make about women dressing provocatively. They use a slur to say that, but, you know, it's like, it's the woman's fault. And they even talk about, I'm trying to use words that maybe YouTube would find more friendly, but a forced sexual encounter with a woman against her will. I think you know what I'm talking about. And they're like, yeah, a woman's dressed like that. And it's him and his panel, again, of experts. And, you know, the woman says, you know, it's, you know, I'm dressing like this, but that's not an open invitation. But look at them. Look at the way they're dressed. They're asking for it. And it's like putting the blame on the women. And what they've said before with education, the educational system, all of this, and him saying that everything a woman touches turns to hell, that goes downward. It's like, we're going to put the blame on the women. We're going to put the blame on them, and not, you know, and the weak men and the women. What is interesting, though, for those who advocate for depopulation, cite educating women as a go-to. It's posted as a positive. But for the right, they see that the current fertility rates, yeah, I mean, I have my opinions. about that. I know for a fact that uh, the population myth is not founded in science. Like there's like what they say is, in X amount of years the world will be overpopulated. Like what does that mean? Because there's still so much in the world. There's so many resources, and even now there's um, like building up more resources. So it's like, you know, it doesn't seem like an impending doom. Like everything is like the doom, global warming, all these things to instill fear in people, and it's things that's like, obviously we have to respect the world. We can't just abuse it without consequences. Everything that we do has a reaction. But but yeah, I don't. But yeah, what you were saying is, educating women, but it's how you educate women. Women have been educated for, I don't know how long, probably over 100 years. Probably more than that. I don't know. I can't give a number. But I'm sure that what they mean about education is sexual education, giving women the tools to control pregnancy. That's what they mean, not education in general. And I think, that's a whole other subject with like why there aren't as many families and children as there were before here in the United States. Is I think it's mainly due to everyone's just kind of, they just care about themselves and their life and what they want. And when you have a plan like that, when you have a vision of your life like that, some people include children in that, maybe for selfish reasons. I don't know. But adding children into the equation, it comes along with responsibility. And people don't like responsibility. People don't know how to handle responsibility. So, it's like people want the pleasure. It's like we were talking about last live. I was about to say last week, but it was this week. Like what I was saying with pornography, but you could even talk with contraception. People want the pleasure without the consequences, without the natural consequences. They want to, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, or anything like that, but people, especially women who now have more control over those consequences, because they're the ones that have to deal with it, especially if it's just a random encounter and then the guy just takes off. But people want to have the cake and eat it too. That's what I'm saying. All right, all these Russian bots. He sounds like a tyrant to me. The type of man who gives men a bad name. Yeah, like, who knows where he's coming from? Maybe he feels bad for his past. And maybe, he talks about before that he slept with a lot of girls when he was younger and he wasn't responsible, and maybe his whole rebirth in religion sent him to an extreme. It was like a really safe place for him, like a place of security, of stability for him, because he went from one extreme into another. Maybe that's what it was. You got to give people the benefit of the doubt, but you also got to take them at their word.
Angry, immoral, emotional, depressed. They have no peace because women don't know how to raise children. They need the light of the father to guide them.
What do you think about that idea? I want to hear your opinion. Do you think that women don't know how to raise children and they need the guidance of the husband? Being honest and looking at the experience in my family. My mother raised me. She was a single mother for a few years, but with my father, she was still very prominent in my upbringing. My father was there too, and he was more of like, he gave more structure. He helped my mother, just because of my mom's personality, I guess, help give her more of not a perspective, but a way to approach certain subjects. Because anybody can say that alone, it's more difficult to solve problems than with another person. That's why it's like a partnership, because both people are giving what you can give what the other person doesn't have and receive the same from the other. It's reciprocal, not in Jesse Lee Peterson's world. But I remember that my mom told me, like, having more of a structure within the home and having my father there gave her more peace, and made it so she didn't feel like she had to do everything herself, which she was very capable of doing. But it wasn't like a tense operation. It gave breathing room. And that was something that if she felt at peace, then she gave to the children a sense of peace. And there's more clarity. Children, absolutely. As they get older, I would lean towards the father a bit. Each parent has something to contribute. Yeah, exactly. And it depends on if it's the daughter or the son, too. But yeah, even every child has their parents. I mean, it just seems so complex that to just push these black and white ideas onto reality can sometimes just destroy or clash with someone's experience. And it doesn't make sense. He says that maybe for him, this system makes sense. And he's like, well, if it makes sense to me, then it must make sense to everybody. And then coming across somebody, and as we'll see in some things, how he talks to Morgan upset me. Disrespectful. And as a older man talking to a woman who he does not respect for being a woman, but as an older man talking to a woman, he should have more respect. Men, I think, can get more combative verbally and physically, but men can be tougher with each other. And I think that's just a natural thing that happens. Nobody can control it. But respect. Even if you don't respect the gender, respect that it's another human being.
I mean, of their husband to guide them in raising children. Even when the man is in the home, the kids still end up screwed up.
I'm sorry, I'm still talking.
If he's not standing between the wife and the children.
So yes,
because the woman, whatever she touches, turns to dust. So the man has to like allow the woman to be there, but kind of like tie her hands and prevent her from, I'm talking physically here, but in her existence from affecting anyone else and infecting them with her disease.
There are certainly examples of things that a woman, in specific cases where women, what they touch turns to hell, as you said, goes to hell. but again, so you're kind of giving examples.
That's even too general for me. I mean, these are two people that the two parties, I don't agree with them in a lot of things, and I'm not here promoting them in that sense. I mean, I think everyone should watch different opinions and extract the truth from it, but anyway.
Examples, you're saying when a man's not in the home or there's not an oversight, like Morgan and I would agree with you. And if you were you able to catch any of our video from a week?
All right, I'm gonna see if there's anything else to do.
And yeah, like when a man is not in the home,
or even if he's in the home and he's not standing between the wife and the children.
Standing between the wife, what the hell?
Fair enough. We have an epidemic of weak, passive men.
Yeah.
We certainly believe that God leads the husband.
So then he talks about what does Paul do when the hell comes out of Morgan? Whatever that means.
Do you obey him, Morgan?
Yes, I do.
You do? And
Yep.
how does he deal with the hell in you when it comes out?
Wait, let's go back a little bit.
Hey, real quick, Jesse,
hold
if
on,
nothing
Paul.
else.
Hold on, Paul. Don't say
if nothing else.
Morgan, let me ask, is Paul the head of you?
Yes, he is.
And do you obey him?
One.
I do my best. I'm not perfect.
Do you obey him?
Yes, I try.
Do you obey him?
Is that Jim Caviezel? It looks like it, doesn't it? No, his name is Paul. From the Paul and Morgan show. That's 3 times he's asked, do you obey him? This is his way of forcing you to respond in a certain way. But, of course, he'll say something like, no, if someone asks you a question, you answer them. You answer them clearly. And in some cases, I can see that. But everything that she's saying is an answer.
Hey, real quick, Jesse,
Hold
if
on,
nothing
Paul.
else.
Hold on, Paul.
Hold on,
Don't
Paul.
save
If
her.
nothing else, you
Hold
can
on,
be
Paul. Don't
you can be
save her.
funny. You can be enjoyable to listen
This is not enjoyable.
to. I'm going to admit that.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Do you obey him, Morgan?
Yes, I do.
There
You
we
do?
go.
And
Yep.
how does he deal with the hell in you when it comes out? How does Paul handle that?
When the hell comes out of me,
Yes.
you know, this is one of the reasons I married Paul, is he is one of the most patient and grace-giving men, and probably the most patient and grace-giving man that I've ever met in my life. I saw Jesus in him when we first met, which is what made me again want to marry him. So
amazing. Paul,
amazing. Like, she just said something from her heart that was very good answer. And
do you still sin?
Oh, this is so interesting. Paul, do you still sin?
Yeah, and real quick, I appreciate you bringing me into it, because I was going to ask, like, you say when the hell comes out, how does Paul handle it?
Right.
What about, I mean, so you would also say that goes both ways. What about when the hell comes out of the man?
So what they're saying is, when a person fails to, or when they do something wrong, willingly or not, when something comes out, when they're angry, when they're frustrated, when they're jealous, when they do these things, that's the hell comes out. That's sin. He asked Paul, how do you control Morgan? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with her How do you deal with that woman when she's, doing, when it's that time of the month, when it's, she's having her hysterical moments? What do you do? What do you do with that? And Paul, like any normal person, will say, well, I do things wrong too. That's not good enough.
The Christian man, how does she
Well,
put up with that, right?
I didn't think that you said you were born with, believed in Jesus, right?
Yes.
So I didn't think you had hell coming out of you. You still have hell coming out of you?
So she can have hell coming out of her, but he can't because he's a man.
But
I said I believe in
believes
Jesus.
in Jesus.
Right.
Where's the
They're trying to be logical here. They're like, well, like, if it applies to one, it must apply to the other. And he's like, no, honey. Women are like a totally different being than men. A far inferior being.
difference?
But
I'm sorry,
I'll
is
get
this too
to
much?
that in a minute. Make
You want me to move on to something else? Are you guys enjoying this?
I want to hear it.
Right.
Don't you skirt around this.
I won't at all, but I want to get this. Are you saying that even though you believe in Jesus, you still have hell coming out of you?
Hell is a strong word that you used, and we're just coasting on that one.
Because words have meanings. Words mean something.
But I mean, there are definitely times, man, when I slip into some selfishness and I end up having to repent for it. Yeah.
And so how is it possible to be born of God and still have hell in you?
People ask me, Francis, why don't you go find a religion, a church that accepts you? Because I would be pulling my hair every single Sunday listening to illogical babblings. I wouldn't be able to deal with it. But go find one that's gay accepting. It's like, it's not that. That's not why I would search for a religion. That's not why I left religion. I don't know if anyone realized that. People think that I did leave because of that. It's not just because of my education, but I think it's normal for human beings to rest easy with logical structures. Well, as I'm saying that, I'm realizing that so many people live on an emotional level, so maybe not everybody, but I think humans in general, humans as rational humans, they like to rest, to lean on a sturdy wall. Am I crazy? And because of my education in Catholicism, it would be hard for me to go to any other religion, honestly. All right, let's go to this gem of a part. I'm just going to let it play. I'm not going to say anything. Well, I have to stop it so I don't. Where is it? Come on. All right.
Of continued unrepentant sin. Is that where we're seeing it differently?
There's a difference between living in sin and then catching a sin and repenting for it and turning away from it.
And
so there's a difference between like being an angry person and then just, living like that. Like, I'm an angry person. I'm going to just let my passions go and rule me and lead me to say things, to do things. And she said that's a difference between that and also saying, oops, I lost control. I'm going to try not to do that again. I don't know who these people are that are leaving all these comments. All right. Let's go.
What sin is that you catch and turn away from?
Pride.
So here's a man who's saying, like, I'm proud sometimes. And the person who is really proud on the screen can't understand that.
Amazing. Morgan, do you still sin too as a Christian?
Yes.
You sinned January of last year.
I honestly think that I could get along with Paul and Morgan. Like, I feel like we could sit and talk and have a normal conversation.
And then I want you guys to ask me a question, but let me ask, can you give us as an example of your sin, Morgan, without being personal, too personal?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me an example of how you're bad, how you let the hell out of you, but don't be too personal.
Something that I've struggled with is for a few years that I've had to
And
work.
this is devastating. I'm sorry. This is something, what she says is devastating. What she's exposing to the world. And I felt it like right here when she said it.
Work through regularly with the Lord is jealousy or bitterness. Jealousy towards other people and their success, or jealousy towards women who are able to have babies and I have yet to have a child.
For a woman who wants to have a child and is not able, that is devastating for the woman. Devastating. Especially if there's miscarriages involved. It's hard on the men too, the husbands, whatever, who are involved, but especially for the woman. I've seen it so many times as a priest talking to mothers of families, and that's another added pressure when you're in those types of religious communities. It's like, oh, you've been married 4 years. They've been married 4 years. Oh, you've been married 4 years. Oh, you don't have any kids. Yeah. Huge problem.
I know that jealousy, that feeling of jealousy or bitterness is not from the Lord.
Right.
And I have to give it to him and repent and turn from it and lean on him for.
So she's trying to have a good perspective on life. I mean, she takes the religious aspect, but she's trying to become a better person.
My strength.
Have you forgiven your mother
For what?
for imposing her will upon you?
What type of perspective is this? Francis, I'm curious, how often would you say trad priests go to confession? It depends. I've seen some every 2 weeks. I've seen some every other day. Yeah, it just depends on the priest and how holy they are.
For raising me the way she wanted to raise me.
Right.
My mom is an amazing woman of God, and
Oh,
she was
Lord, those are the worst ones.
I mean, I'm sorry, but any woman who might be interested in Jesse Lee Peterson who watches this, any woman, will be immediately turned off. Immediately.
She was not perfect growing up, but she loved me deeply and laid her life down for her children.
Her mom was a good woman.
No such thing.
No such thing.
Yes,
Yes, there is, buddy.
And
So have you forgiven her, Morgan?
I've forgiven her for her mess ups, but every mom messes up.
Hey,
so.
hey,
Did
pause
you
real
tell
quick.
her that?
Depends on how holy they are. Excuse me. So, just one last thing. So he brings on his experts. 42
people.
Okay, well, yes, I love white people. They're great.
Okay, my experts are here. Do you guys have questions for my experts, or
random.
do you guys have questions for Paul and Morgan?
So remember, these people, these three are there in the studio now. It's like, oh, you want to make a comment about what the experts say? Well, during an interview, we're going to bring all those people out. Oh, sorry.
I got a quick question.
Okay.
Just because we were curious discussing this in our video from a week and a half ago about you guys. Is anyone on the panel married?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
And why do you
That's
ask that?
That's kind of
That was a question that I had. There were two questions. One of them was possibly a one of them was possibly true, and one of them was definitely true. One of them was, were you married? Are you married? The second one was, did you have a mother? Did you have a father? So everyone has a mother, but what type of mother was it? Or did you have your mother through your developmental phase? Or what did your mother do to you? What did your father do to you? What did they teach you to have this type of perspective? Yeah, I would say panel.
what we figured.
Right.
Well, I was gonna ask, like, if any of you guys were married, how does your wife kind of respond, or what does she think about the conversations?
Yeah, like you saying this, how does that affect your life? Like, how does that affect how you interact with women?
You guys have.
Well, we can't answer it because we're not married, but yes, we do get this question a lot, and
we get this question a lot. Go figure.
And yes, people think that it's some kind of, especially in the comment section, they think it's some kind of weapon they use against us. Like, aha, they're not married.
Right.
You see, and
yeah, because your wife would slap you across the face if you came home with that type of, not unless she's one of these ideal, undereducated, in the home, tied up because she can't touch anything, physically or not, especially not the children. You know, you keep her in the broom closet. She's just there to make babies and to cook food.
Or that something happened to us.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a big deal to me. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
Jesus Christ was not married.
It's not a big deal to me because Jesus Christ wasn't married.
I don't think that it keeps you guys from being able to talk on anything, but I do.
And the woman become the mama, they become the boy. Become married men are baiters.
Married?
Yes.
Yes.
If it happens.
Maybe.
The reason that question.
Do you want to get married? If it happens. Just like when they ask, do you think women should vote and be educated?
Question is asked of any man who tell the truth about women, is because married men are betas and they are unable to deal with their wives in a perfect they are unable to deal with their wives in a perfect way. They're afraid of their wives because they're really married to their mama. They become attracted to what they hate. And so they marry these women, and the woman become the mama, and they become the boy. And they can't imagine anyone standing up and being honest about women. That's why they ask that question. Beta! Isn't that true?
Very interesting. Is it true, babe?
Is it true, babe? I don't want to say again that I can't stand this guy, and I don't agree with anything he says. Why don't you say it?
Is it true that all married men
Are betas?
are beta? Is that your question?
No, men and women who ask that question, they ask that because they can't imagine a man being honest about women.
So, hypothetically, if a husband and wife ask me if I'm married, it's because hypothetically that husband is a beta and is being controlled by his woman. Hypothetically. I think there's an issue with the stream. Is everything okay? But hypothetically, this situation, even though sitting right in front of, well, through Skype, you have a couple that just asked that. Uh-oh, something's happening on my stream. Wait a second. Okay. Wait a second. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay. So
to a woman.
So I want to go to one last video. So this is before. This is in 2017. So the other videos that I was showing you are from this year. So he's talking with a woman, a dating coach, a celebrity dating coach. And they have a pretty decent conversation in the beginning. It's just funny that he's talking to a woman.
And make it work.
I'm just going to go out with another one and see what happens.
So many men are proposing to you. That's right.
Yeah, be honest with you. What do I need?
So let me ask, out of the 7 other men who's proposed to you, not one in there fit what you're looking for?
You know, it's what I realized was they were in many ways mirrors of who I was at the time. It was right after my second marriage. I wasn't in a healthy, complete whole.
I mean, you have to watch the full video to understand the context, but she's a very well-spoken woman.
Or a man who's like your father?
The time to refuel, and I refuel alone.
Do you look for men or a man who's like your father?
No.
No? Why not?
My father is a great guy. I have an incredible relationship with him. He's someone who I respect and admire, and he has tenderness. And there are things that I know I go up against him. We've always sort of...
Can you tell me...
Seems reasonable.
Give me a couple examples of things you did not like about your father that you would not want in a man that you were married to. Because a lot of women have that problem. They want a man who's like their father or not like their father.
Yeah, my dad is very similar to me, independent. And I think that is beautiful.
Oh, here we go. Don't worry, things get interesting. So she begins saying some things and he's agreeing and like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good perspective. But then she starts describing herself, independent woman, knows what she wants and needs and decides, makes decisions in relationships. And I think that's where Jaclyn Peterson begins to turn the conversation.
and wonderful, and within his independence, he has a hard time communicating. And he doesn't communicate as clearly as I would like him to with my mom.
Is your mother a difficult woman to live with for your father?
She can be tough.
Ah.
Yeah.
And your father doesn't know how to handle that at times?
I think that neither of them know how to handle each other at times.
That seems reasonable. In his eyes, because of what we just saw, that means that he's thinking, beta, 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 beta. The dad's a beta.
You know, they're both very, very strong-willed people.
You said that you were an independent, tough woman. What is that exactly?
He's getting the ammunition for his next comments.
That is someone who is very strong-minded and has a hard time folding under someone else's opinion.
So why would a man want to marry a woman like that? Because
why would someone want to marry a confident woman? And she says that it's hard to fold under another opinion. It's hard, it's difficult. She's being very honest.
Men look for women that are ready to be a wife, they want to be a mother, they understand the order of life and that the man is the head of the woman, and they don't want to have to be fighting this strong-willed woman.
Well, I would say that a man doesn't necessarily want to be the head of a woman.
You say he does not?
Does not.
What? Say what? Men don't want to be?
Why not?
I would say that men and women are equal and different. And I might be the head in some ways, and he might be the head in some ways.
But that doesn't...
And it depends on the people involved, too. Like, with my parents, my mother was very good at organizing and planning and getting momentum in the house to do things and, like, doing that type of thing and you know, getting us out the door on time and, you know, doing all that stuff. And she was good at that. And my dad allowed her the space to grow and develop in the things that she's good at. And he's not a very personable type of man. Like, he's not very good talking with people, even expressing his ideas sometimes or his feelings or whatever. Like, it's hard for him to communicate that. Even, like, you know, if he wants something to happen, for example, if he wants some sort of change in the house, like, I don't know, like a different system in some way, it's hard for him to know how to express that to the family without, because he doesn't want to come across as like, this is how we're doing it now, because that's not his personality. So it's hard for him to communicate that. And so with my mom's help, they develop a system together. It just makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, I also know men who are more dominant and lead more, and women who are more passive. And that works for them. Not passive in the sense of like, you know, like they just do whatever they're told, but they like a man to lead them. And that works.
I also am a provider.
That doesn't work because in any company, whether it's a family or friendships or vendorships, no such word, I don't think, but there's always the president and the vice president, and the woman is the vice president in a family.
You know, there was this thing that went around in church one time where, you know, in Christianity, the man is the head of the family. The man is the head of the family. The man is the head. And there was this priest that came, and he said, yeah, okay, the man's the head, but the woman is the neck, and the neck decides the direction that the head goes in. And it was just like a very interesting new perspective to have. Like, just because, you know, you're going to put yourself at the head doesn't mean that you're the only force involved. and that you have to dominate.
And so if you don't have the president guiding the vice president and the children, it's not going to work.
I feel like it's a partnership. So it's
But men don't see it that way, though.
Many men do see it that way.
You should replace men with I. I don't see it that way.
And it's not, there is that mentality and there is that type of man who doesn't see it that way. And I wouldn't say that that is across the board. I'm a born and bred West Angelino. I'm from Los Angeles. My dad is from Los Angeles. The mentality here is, I feel, a little bit more forward thinking, with the woman being more of a partner.
But that's never going to work, though. Is it just?
He wants his definition of alpha to be the norm. Many men harness their masculinity differently. Yeah. I mean, I would love to get his definition. What is masculinity? Because I sure as heck know that it's not going to be the same definition that I have.
That's why a lot of relationships are not working, because they are partners.
She's like,
Which is a bad word, by the way, because partners came from the radical homosexuals. They want to pretend that they're married, and so they want us to accept it. So
I love her expressions, like, is this guy really saying all of this?
they use the word partner. So I hear a lot of men and women using that word partner, but it's not going to work unless you do it the right way. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say that the reason why marriages are failing is not because of partnership, it's because of lack of communication.
I don't think this guy is masculine. I think he's just a bully. I don't know about him, but just to give the benefit of the doubt, there's a compensation that people do sometimes when they see something lacking, or they see an ideal that they should reach, and they realize that they're not in the position to reach that. They have to come across, for their own sanity, as already at that ideal. There's something funny that anecdote. There's something funny that happens here in Mexico, and this is a generalization, but I've seen it a lot, where the women here in Mexico are very, very strong people, very strong personalities, and they're just like a wave that comes in. The mothers, don't mess with the mother of a Mexican family. She will eat you up. But because there's this Catholic sense going around, there's this idea that the man has to be the head. I should say Christian, because it's not just Catholic, but there's this idea that the man has to be the head. So how does the man compensate? Because obviously the woman is the one who really wears the pants. I've seen and I've heard from a lot of my friends that their fathers had to overextend themselves and overexert their masculinity. I don't know if anyone here has heard of machismo, but it's this bravado, this flaunting of masculine qualities to the nth degree in order to forcibly and violently show to the world that they are the head of the family. But they do whatever the woman tells them to do. But with the kids, outwardly to society, they have to exert themselves. I've seen it a lot.
and and being very clear on what you feel, what you need, and communicating your needs on both ends. So there's too much assumption. There's too much, well, this is my role and that's what I'm going to do and you just have to deal with it, instead of...
Sounds like she's talking about Jesse Lee here.
This is how I'm feeling, and this is what I would like your role to be, and you're really great at this role, and I'm really great at this role, and let's figure out how we can meld.
I know what's wrong right now.
Oh, no.
I thought he was going to say, I understand your point. But no, he understands your problem.
Men don't feel...
She is like, I'm done.
Like being a man is a role. They're not playing a role. I think women think that that's what they're doing. Men are naturally doing what they do. It's in their nature to lead, to be the president, to protect their families, to provide for the families. And I think women think that the men are playing a role because women try to be that way.
I've seen so, like I was just saying, I've seen so many men try to fit into the role of the head of the family, the husband, the decision maker, the breadwinner, the provider, all of that, the leader, the spiritual guide. I've seen people do that. I've seen people change to become that. I've seen men, young men, go into the seminary and put on the mask of, I'm a priest now. I'm going to play this role as the priest. I'm going to change who I am in order to become what these other professors are telling me what I need to be in order to make it. I've seen it. I've tried to do it. It didn't last very long because I'm just not a faker. Like, I can't deal with myself after a while. But I've seen it. Coming from a matriarchal fam, I'm vibing with the Mexican mom. That's funny.
Too. And in order for a woman to be like a man, she has to play a role. But men are not playing a role. That's who they are.
Well, no, because men, they do have the inclination and desire to lead, yes. And they do want to be the provider in that.
Which I do think is a normal thing. I think that is something that men naturally want to do, especially with someone that they love. They want to protect the person that they love, no matter if it's a woman or, you know, a man in a gay relationship. I've seen that.
Caveman style, definitely. And
Caveman,
there
like...
are also women who want to lead and are very capable of leading and can lead and do it as successfully and sometimes, many times more successfully than a man. She just does it differently. We have different men and women, as I said, we are equal. We're just different.
In what way are men and women different? I know emotionally, women are emotional, men are not.
Men are not emotional. I think that opens a whole other can of worms about that masculinity. Like, the talking point that people say, like, men will stop being toxic if they just learn how to express their emotions. Even outside of a structure, a societal structure that tells men to suppress their emotions, I think that a lot of men naturally are inclined to not open up in that way emotionally because they are more driven to deal with what's happening. Like, instead of sitting with their emotions, I think a lot of men are naturally inclined to, like, okay, I feel upset, but I still got something to do. I still got to fix the problem. I still got to, like, let's solve it. Let's, you know, instead of just like, let's sit down and talk and open up. And it's like, I think that that's a natural thing. Maybe later they'll be like, okay, let's unravel this. Let's unpack this and talk about what I was feeling in the moment. But I think like men naturally shut that down because it's like, I got to do this. I got to keep going. I can't stop going to work. I can't stop functioning because I'm feeling bad or I'm feeling emotional or I'm feeling. But also, you have so many men. I've known more fathers than mothers that cry during movies, that cry during their children's, like big events that happen in their children's lives. Those men cry and the mothers aren't crying. It's funny. I've seen that so many times. As a man raised by a single mother, I never could buy into this common type of thinking when I was involved with the trad world. Some tradies might blame that for me failing and leaving. Of course it was. Here, I'm going to tell you what's wrong. It was because you didn't have a father that your whole life is screwed up, that, you know, you don't have the faith, you're banished, you're a loser. I can't believe people that say that. I mean, do they expect everyone to lead the ideal version of the perfect life? Is that literally people, you know, maybe even in their lives, because of course it is in their life, they just, you know, don't want to accept all the failures to live up to that goal in their own lives? Like Jesse Lee here, who has a child, like they don't want to see that failure in themselves, but they're so easy to point it out on other people if you're just a little bit off. Didn't pray enough, right?
Men are natural born leaders, women are not. What ways do you see men and women as being different?
I wouldn't create those firm lines between women are emotional, men are not. And I think that in saying that, it's actually continuing to create those gender lines. Men can be emotional creatures. They are trained not to be. They are.
This is what I was saying before. I don't really buy 100% into this train of thought, because I was in probably one of the strictest, at least in the U.S., one of the strictest structures of masculinity and expectations, and I was never taught to suppress or not express my emotions. Obviously, it was indirectly, like I was saying before, in like you want to appear to be a certain way, so you kind of just act that way. But I was always very emotional. That's why I'm gay. No, I was emotional, but I didn't let that hinder me. I allowed that to help me propel me forward and mature emotionally and be able to control it, not suppress it, but control it. If that makes sense.
Trained to not voice their feelings, to not voice their emotions. I know as a mother of a 2-year-old, I see my son being a very emotional person.
Wow.
I see him as...
Wow, it's because you're there and not a father. You're raising a beta.
Men who are emotional are weak men.
That is
and
not
women
true.
Women don't like weak men like that because it's like being with another woman.
Yeah.
I don't think women like men who can't function because of their emotions. Can't function, just like a man doesn't like a woman who can't function because of her emotions. But seriously, I think that's the line of thinking that's more close to the truth. Not emotions, just emotional. Like hysterical. No one wants to have a hysterically emotional partner. Sorry, not partner. Husband or wife.
Yeah,
And so,
totally disagree with you.
You know
My
why?
son is not in any capacity a weak man.
But if
at
he's
2 years
emotional-
old, he is anything but a weak man.
but that's abnormal for him to be
Not
emotional
at all.
at 2.
It's just not trained to be something different. Children are who they are energetically. They are love. They are kind. They are understanding. They are learning. We treat them and train them.
Let's get this.
Always hard. That's just not an energy that is. That it's this knight who has so much pride.
Oh, this is an interesting book.
Adult children's book, and the idea is that it's this knight who has so much pride around being a knight and going and saving people, and that's what he loves to do. And he comes home and he has his knight outfit on, and because he loves being that person, and he's trying to.
Let me get the name of it. It's a story.
Such a hard day. Life is so rough. And
I
you
wouldn't
need to be
want
there
that
for
to
him.
be who he is, the knight in rusty armor.
No.
Okay, it's a
The Knight
really
in
great
Rusty
book.
Armor.
As the armor starts to rust over because he has all of these emotions that he's hiding inside underneath this armor, and he has to figure out how to get the armor off because he doesn't have to be alone in all of this.
That's so disappointing. You know, what I'm hearing, and
She is so frustrated, but she's being a good sport about it. I would not have the patience with someone like this. If remember, like, he asked the same question like 5 times. I'm the type of person that if someone treats me like that, I just say whatever they want me to say, like, just in spite. Like, do you believe in God? And if I said, well, I want to be open to the possibility, but at the moment, no. Do you believe in God? Well, do you believe in God? Yes. Praise Jesus. That's how I would be. Like it would be totally unproductive.
and that's why I really want you here, because I watch your thing and you're so smart. What I'm hearing is that for some reason, society has lost what a man is. A man is not someone who is pretending to be a man. A man is.
That's true. I do think that people are very confused now, just in general. They don't know, like, things have become so open and so, like, without any sort of structure whatsoever, that people don't know how to get footing for themselves. They don't know how to look at themselves. That can be in an extreme if you have a very strict structure that says, this is a man, do this. And you're like, well, shoot, that's not me. Like, a man becomes a priest or he gets married and has kids. And I'm there like, oh, I can't get married. I don't fit into that expectation. But then you have the other extreme where there's no mirror. There's no way to judge yourself, because nobody can say, I'm perfectly fine the way I am. I have all the qualities at the exact level that I want to have, that give me the happiness that I want. Nobody can honestly say that about themselves. We're always learning. We're always improving. We're always trying to get to the next level. But now, there's no levels. I mean, there are still levels, but people don't want levels. People don't want the idea of you can get better. With the whole, for example, like, considering overweight people and saying, you're perfectly fine the way you are. You're beautiful. I'm just using their language. So don't, like, put it all on me. Like, I'm saying this, or I'm criticizing everything that they're saying. But they'll say, you're perfect just the way you are. The reality might be different, but they don't want you to think that you can be different, you can improve, because they want you to feel good now. They want you to be happy now, which, I mean, comes from a good place. They want you to not feel upset and to feel jealous or to feel insufficient. Those are bad feelings. It doesn't feel good to look around and notice where you're insufficient. So they want you to feel okay now. When in reality, seeing like, oh, I could lose a few pounds, or I could do this, or I could do that to be healthier, or I could stop doing this, or I could stop doing that, or, you know, looking around and seeing yourself, you know, that will make us happier. Working on yourself will make, will make you happier. Yeah, she's so patient.
Not someone who even knows that he's carrying a heavy load. It's not like it's natural for men to be men. A man is love. That's why women are drawn to men, because they get their love from the man. And so when
I'm not even gonna.
She can't get that love from the man, which is unemotional. It's really logic, it's wisdom, it's understanding, it's compassion. And when a woman can't get that from the man, she's out there looking to get it from someone else because she's disappointed in a man who lacks real love.
What is she gonna say?
Unemotional love.
Unemotional.
Yeah, real love is a light unto your feet. And so the man is, you know, by him being the head of the woman, he's the light unto her. He shows her the right way to go. He helps her to overcome the hell that she's going through with her.
How many of you guys want to bet that she just takes off running? And let's say that everything he's saying is true. Everything that he's saying. He's talking to a woman like this. Talking to somebody who doesn't have the same opinion. Like everything he's saying about women and not have, and she's like, well, I'm somebody who doesn't have a husband, so I wonder what he thinks of me. And everything that he's saying, she's taking in.
Emotions. And that's not happening anymore because they have redefined manhood, and men don't know how to get it back because their parents have failed them, as fathers have failed, mothers have taken away their masculinity. You find that to be true?
What is that whole behind every great man is a strong woman type of thing? I mean, coming from his perspective. He just lives in a totally different world.
No.
You don't?
No.
Do you? No, go ahead.
I find that men can, yes, be the light for a woman and...
Wait a second. If force... can't even say it. If force powers were real, she'd be force joking him right now.
Woman can be the lightness for a man, and that is where the
Clueless, yeah.
being offering their own talents comes together. Love by definition is emotion. Love is opening the heart. Love is feeling.
But that's body to body love. That's not real love.
How many? He has 312,000 subscribers. Even if 1,000 or 2 or 3,000 or 5 or 10 were just trolling or just subscribing to do what I'm doing right now, but in their head, 312,000 subscribers. But guess what? He has 2 or 3 other channels with the same amount of people.
No, that's not sex love. That is emotional love. That's feeling. That's opening your heart and actually being able to, as I talked about before, check in with yourself.
You're an idiot.
How am I feeling? What do I... Am I angry? Am I...
Notice
okay,
that
so
I
why am I angry? What's the
right
underlying emotion out of anger? Is it fear? Is it feeling?
Let's go a
today,
little
but it used
I need
to
to
be
stop soon.
men
I could
hating
go on
women.
forever.
I disagree, and
You
I
do?
guess yes, I do.
I think I could call this a lack of emotional intelligence, for sure.
But there are women
men.
hating men and there are men hating women.
Let me-
And that's the thing that's difficult. It's so easy to just brushstroke and
But
say
you gotta
all
admit,
women
though,
are this.
women hate men more than you'll find more women hating men than you'll find men hating women.
I disagree, and
You
I
do?
guess yes, I do. And,
Why?
And a
I'm
lot
surprised
of
at
that is a lot of that is. I mean, I'll just.
Being nice, I could take what he says and try to find a good interpretation of it. But because he's not clear, I'm not going to do it. He was probably betting she would have derailed by now. She's like, I'm going to make her so emotional that she yells at me, and then I'll be like, haha! See, she can't even have a rational discussion.
See on my own YouTube videos, I'm a single mom. Does that mean that I'm a parasite? Am I looking for a guy to latch onto and take all of his money? No, I make all of my own money. I support my family. I'm not interested in latching onto a guy and giving him my kid. I'm not looking for a man to become the father of my child. My child has a father.
If you found that right man, the one you like, he look the way you look, he has a good career going on, he can provide.
Does anybody want tamales? You don't have to be that nice, Francis. I mean, I see people as individuals, as people with pasts, with complicated, complex lives and perspectives on the world. And although I wouldn't give people the room or the space to like I'm doing this to kind of express my thoughts on these different subjects. I'm taking him as an example, but I wouldn't really give him my time of day to like I can respect him as a human being, but at a distance type of thing. Like, this is as close as I'm going to get to him. But I still respect his existence, his humanity, that he's a person, that he's a son, that he's a father. And because of all the changes that I've been through in my life, I know what possibilities are there for people. And until someone dies, you can't just condemn someone to hell. All you people out there listening to me, no.
He's the type of man you want. And he says to you, let's get married. You're like, yes, honey, I love you, let's do it. And he said, well, I want you to give up your career and be a wife and be a mother. Let's start a family. Would you do it?
No.
You would not do it.
Listen, even if she would, at this point, she wouldn't even concede to anything that he's saying. Because now she has to stand for something, because he's put her in a box, so she feels like trapped within that box and that stereotype that he's creating. He's talking about women so bad, and it's like, you're talking to a woman.
Is what I bring to the table, what he wants her to be.
Why should a man marry a woman who is unwilling to let that part of the world go and become a good wife and mother?
Not why would a man marry a hypothetical woman, but why would a man marry you? To have such hatred of all women like this seems like some deep-seated issues.
What's the purpose of marrying a woman like that?
You can be a good wife and mother and still have your own identity. And he fell for her and was attracted to her because of who she was. Not about because, oh, I think that you're pretty and you can be a good, well-behaved girl and be
in the broom closet, tied up,
a good mama to the babies and be a good wife.
Your YouTube title.
There was a cut there. There was a cut in what she was saying. Did anybody notice that in the editing? I've noticed that a few times throughout the video. Like, this is his channel. So I wonder what else she said that they were like, you know, we're done with her. Let's just not. Let's make sure she doesn't talk so much.
Those are some of them. Number one, the sexiest trait that attracts a man and make him need more. Better sex, quickies, kissing, licking, touching,
The
a foreplay how to guide.
Yeah.
What do you mean by kissing, licking?
You know, it's kissing.
And touching.
I have.
What is this thing? Why would I want to kiss a woman? Why? Why would I do that? Ew. It's like kissing the gates of hell.
You really mean licking?
Yeah.
Licking?
Well, just using your mouth doing oral sex.
Really?
Yeah, people don't know how to do it, and they are
I wonder when the last. Okay, sorry.
afraid because they don't know how. I have clients who come to me, they're afraid they don't know how to kiss.
7 reasons you should masturbate.
Yeah.
Amazing. And the last one.
He's like, all right, I think that's enough. I think that's enough. Oh, there's my cat. He's sleeping. Actually, he wants to eat. It's past their dinner time. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around. And I just wanted to do another video because I wasn't able to make one of my more professionally edited videos. So, yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for suffering through all this with me. But it's not just suffer. I don't want to make it just like that. It's listening to someone's opinion and seeing how completely insane they are. Well, finding fault at what they're saying. That's probably a better way to say it. So anyway, Christmas in 2 days for me. Maybe you're from another part of the world, but Christmas soon. I hope everyone has a very safe holiday season, and that you relax and enjoy the time with your family if you're able to do that. So I will be back next week. I'm trying to get my friend Ryan to come on the live stream with me next week, next Tuesday. I'm going to try to figure it out with Skype. I've been investigating on how to do that, and we'll see if that works out, because I think it'd be awesome to have someone else there to talk to. Say hi, Aslan. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Well, I'll see you before New Year's. And peace.